things going. And, RainMan, would you like to do the introductions?
Of course. We are here in the top right of Overgrowth, a relatively new map, I must say, from Team Esports Club Visualize. He's RainMan. And his opponent, I believe the Czech player from Team DK, or DK if you want to pronounce it in their fashion. He's the Teal Zerg, he's TomikuS. Some interesting banter already going on, and TomikuS not appearing all that confident after that quick loss.
Well, the thing is, it's game number 1. He went for an incredibly aggressive opening.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out for him. You kind of know that it's going to go one of two ways. It's a bit of a gamble whenever you do that. And as we said, RainMan, he got a great scout down, was able to put up an adequate defense for it nice and early. And once you've got that, you know it's not going to work for you. This game, I'm hoping we see TomikuS try and play it out a bit longer. We already know that he isn't going as aggressive, since we don't see a spawning pool before the Overlord. But what kind of things do you reckon we'll be seeing, RainMan, in terms of the mid-game here? What do you hope to see from them?
Well, at this point, a 14 pull, 15 arches, par for the course on this map. It's a two-player map, so playing too greedy really isn't all that wise. In terms of the mid-game, I really anticipate both players to be going for a roach-centric timing. However, in my mind, RainMan is quite known for his link-focused strategies, especially, of course, versus Protoss and Terran, maybe not so much against Zerg. But yeah, both players already catching me off guard here and will be going for the 15 arch, which is a bit contrary to the metagame and what you would expect on this map.
It is always something that you need to be a little bit concerned about. It's going for that early hatch or hatch first on a two-player map because of the potential for aggression. But it is still able to be held, especially if you get the first Overlord over nice and early. You can get a good scout to see what units are coming across. And if you do see those lings early, you can still put up quite an easy defense against it. As you said though, mid-game, I'm really thinking roaches are quite likely. Although, as you said, RainMan, he does like those lings. And up against roaches, you can have a really good kind of early stage to that mid-game if you go for the double upgraded Zerglings. That can cause a lot of problems to players who try to rush to roaches.
Yeah, the thing is that all of the bases are basically all the way in the back of the maps. So you can sort of defend those from a central position. You know, if you position your army between this natural and the third, you can kind of set up a good defense even against ling run-bys. You know, all the bases are kind of chucked away in their own little corners. So with adequate creep spread, setting up a defensive position is doable, and it's a map with a lot of ramps. So roaches and getting good concaves and good positioning really are favored here. It's also not that unusual to see swarmhosts here. If one of you guys followed Lone Star Clash, we saw quite a few of those, especially Stefano, of course, doing very well in that.
So, just waiting to see what these two are going to be throwing out. The big difference so far is the gas we see for TomikuS.
Yeah.
RainMan, he's opening gasless at the moment, and this does pose some vulnerabilities. If there was a big Speedling or Zergling Baneling aggressive play coming down from TomikuS, RainMan could struggle with that. It's hard to get the wall off until creep spread has got a little bit further forward. But the benefit of it is you are able to squeeze a couple more drones, and while we don't see that yet, we should be seeing it in the very near future. A couple more drones on RainMan's side.
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting RainMan at this point to be sort of cutting corners and maybe add on just a couple of, here we go, the first spine and then some Evo chambers and then a quick roach war, and to just go straight into that roach tech and not even bother with making lings. But yeah, as you can see in the production tab, he's clearly going for a lot more greedy opener than his opponent is, and I'm just really curious to see how that's actually going to pan out. And TomikuS goes from link speed directly into a very quick hatcheries, lair. So that's, well, an interesting move.
It is. It opens up some great opportunities for him, though. And getting that earlier lair down does mean that you have access to go straight into Mutalisks. And that's something we've got to keep an eye on, whether we see the additional 3 gases get taken by TomikuS. Other things the lair obviously opens up to you is roach speed. And there's no argument about getting that down early can be really useful for you. But RainMan, you're right on the money. We've got quick roach one coming down from RainMan, and he's just teching straight into those roaches.
Yeah, RainMan anticipating a speedling timing. There is no attack coming though from TomikuS. He just got link speed, in order potential link speed attacks, and whoops, actually the run by comes in from TomikuS, but he doesn't make it into the main, so he doesn't see the lair from RainMan that's currently on the way. But he of course has seen the roach warren, and he knows he needs to get something out against that. Like if RainMan just goes all in on roaches, Mutas of course cannot be killed or even touched by roaches. But still, roaches take a long time to die, so he can still do a lot of damage with an attack like that.
The Spire coming down as well, and this is going to be quite a tough hold because you don't have the money to make that many Mutalisks off of 2 bases. We know that this is going to be most likely a very aggressive roach play coming out from RainMan. 3 gases allows you to produce a lot of roaches very early on. But the downside for RainMan is that he hasn't seen the Spire. He doesn't even know about the lair, if I'm not mistaken. No, doesn't know about the lair. He has no idea this is coming. And if he doesn't make a couple of spores, that could cause him a lot of hurt.
We will find out though. There is a Overseer that just got morphed in front of the natural of TomikuS, which is rallied straight into the main of TomikuS. So we should be getting a good look at that and be able to respond accordingly. This third actually was cancelled by this Ling run by TomikuS. Nice job by him. And he has spotted, of course, that RainMan is committing to roaches at this stage.
But RainMan hasn't seen the Spire. He gets a peek at the lair, but he doesn't know about the Spire. Knows about the bonus gases, so can probably assume that that's what's coming. Gonna lose his third yet again with another great Zergling run by here, and there was no cancel. Ooh, that hurts.
Yeah, RainMan is currently just tunnel visioning on roaches, it seems. He does have a very nice timing here, lining up with +1 attack and roach speed. But the first mutants are already underway, and they will stop this attack at some point. The question is, though, can RainMan inflict the damage with this attack that he needs to? And some roaches already getting caught in the middle of the map by these lings getting picked off. Nice trade there for TomikuS.
Yeah, small groups of roaches don't trade well up against lings at all because their surface area is really high. The mutas getting out just in time, additional spines trying to come down, but the roaches will be able to get some damage done. But the real question is how much and how quickly, because as you said, RainMan, the mutas will eventually kill these roaches. It's just, are they going to be worthwhile in terms of the trade? And for the moment, it's looking like no, they definitely won't.
No, they will not. TomikuS wisely made a lot of lings, and these lings are very good at soaking up the damage which the roaches are trying to put out, but the mutas and the lings are just too much in this case for the roaches, and RainMan is already falling down in supply. He's actually down a base as well, since TomikuS has taken the one all the way in the bottom right, and RainMan's plan is kind of falling apart, and he's actually going for a Nidus right now.
This is quite interesting. So he's just trying to get units into his opponent's base as quickly as possible, but the counter-attack is gonna be devastating. There's spores coming down, which sure, hit like trucks up against the Mutalisks, but it's the lings on the ground that there just isn't an answer to at the moment. It's going to be very, very difficult for RainMan to hold this, especially when we factor in this bottom right-hand base. It's not mining much yet, but it is slowly trickling out drones and just general production.
Oh, here they come. Transfuses land on the queens. Nice timed here by RainMan. Loses his first queen though. Hiding behind the spore crawler, doing a pretty decent job, and the one on the high ground also covering quite a lot of surface area. So RainMan is holding on quite nicely. He is completely losing map control though, and he has managed to sneak out one Overseer out on the map, which will be a spotting for this Overseer. And I wonder what he can actually do with this. Like, will he be... Oh, quick pick up here once again by TomikuS. Nice job.
These mutas are just being very active, never overcommitting, just kind of poking in, taking a little peek and being like, let's get a bit of damage down.
Oh, TomikuS doesn't know about the Nidus. And we do, because here it goes. And there's quite a few roaches in there, but here comes another attack at the front by TomikuS. And the question is, well, actually all the queens are in there as well, so he can't actually defend, and he's going to lose his +2 attack upgrade.
That's a big loss, getting that taken down, and TomikuS is going to be wondering, hang on, where is everything? But he should now know, sees these roaches entering his main base. Immediately, he pulls back those Mutalisks. But is he going to get them there in time? The queens with the transfuse are going to help a lot. Gases getting focused, a big hindrance if you're trying to get more roaches out. But these queens, they've got a lot of work to do up against the Mutalisks. But there are an awful lot of them.
Yeah, he should have pulled 1 or 2 drones and built a spore in his opponent's base just to help out against the mutas. The second Nidus wormer is on the way, and RainMan is currently just, working away at home, mining and producing units, whereas TomikuS has completely lost his main base. He's trying to get out a lot of roaches on his own, which I think is a good move, as well as the mutas, of course, and he's fortifying his natural, but RainMan's position isn't looking all that bad.
It's actually not. He's still on 2 bases, but he's really crippled his opponent's tech. The Spire is still alive. I'm surprised RainMan's allowed that to live, because it does give the option to make more mutas, but the mutas themselves are in a bit of a tough spot. There's 8 queens with this push, and that's a lot of transfuse energy and a lot of anti-air.
Yeah, RainMan can actually pick off the roach from the high ground, I feel. There is only one queen at the bottom. Oh, there's actually a second one, but it barely has. TomikuS almost makes the mistake of going up there. I feel the first person here to commit is the one making the biggest mistake, and RainMan I think makes the correct decision here by simply going home with this army, and yeah, that's the correct decision because TomikuS has invested a lot in these spine crawlers, but right now they really don't do anything for him.
No, they don't, but he's got that additional money that he can not waste, but he can definitely look to spend.
True.
The bottom right-hand base has been mining efficiently, and the danger for RainMan is as he hasn't scouted it, he can sit here and think, okay, maybe I've got my opponent down to only one base, thinking he's in an amazing spot, when in reality, their economies are still relatively equal, nearly bang on the same. So then it comes down to composition. The Spire was left alive, and that was the key thing from the lair tech. And due to this, TomikuS doesn't have to worry too much about losing that lair. It's only the mining base.
Yep, TomikuS is not in a bad spot by any means. Maintaining that base at the bottom right was just incredibly key to maintaining the economy, and he's still up ahead in supply. Furthermore, he's maintained map control throughout all of this, thanks to his Mutalisks, which have been picking off things left and right, as we could have just seen happening in the main, where an extractor got taken out and RainMan lost a couple drones, and now RainMan is having to defend his third.
It's quite an unusual situation what we've kind of been presented with. So we got the initial aggression coming through from TomikuS with those Mutalisks, and they did quite a lot. Some Zergling run-bys denied the third of RainMan repeatedly, but the Nidus counterattack meant that TomikuS' main was taken out for a while. The lair died, but critically, the Spire stayed up. And that bottom right-hand base has always been such an important role. RainMan still doesn't know about that, and it is a real vulnerability. If that died, RainMan would suddenly be propelled into a massively great position. I'm just thinking, what can RainMan do, with this infestation bit?
Well, he could transition into Swarmos and try to stall out the game furthermore. You can tell he's been forced into a defensive posture, simply by the way he hasn't moved really out on the map past creep. If he had felt more confident in his play at this moment, or at least in his position in the game, he would have sent out a Ling or two, or maybe an Overseer to scout more. The roaches on the map actually get a pretty good surround here, but the Mutas also dealing a lot of damage. The Queens need to get close, but there is actually no way for them to get there, and a big battle erupts in the middle of the map. Roaches all the way on the left side finally get outnumbered here by TomikuS' number, and RainMan supply drops heavily, only half of his Roach army doing battle here, and this is looking really rough here for the Dutch there.
Without the Queens, with the army, there was no response to those Mutalisks. So they got some great damage down, and RainMan knows he's not going to be able to stop that. GG's out. And that means that the series is now leveled, and we're going to be going into a third map.